Salvatore Dali famously said, "I don't do drugs, I am drugs." Quite frankly, with the copious amounts of various intoxicating substances some were ingesting during the Habsburg era, some of their bodies may have been drugs quite literally. Of course, until recently, drugs were medicinal products that had lucky side effects for users. And without the drug laws as we currently know them, it was much easier to get that special cough medicine, whether there was actually a cough or not. It was well known that drugs could kill, of course, and the Gauls were known to coat their arrows with poisons that could ensure a kill, even if aim was somewhat off. But for the most part, drugs were cures that might happen to have other benefits than mere health. And as the known world expanded into the age of exploration, newer drugs became available and incorporated into everything. Well, they became available in Vienna just a wee bit later than everywhere else. As Maria says on page 121, even back then the Viennese were hesitant to try anything new. However, Maria does inform us of one of the seminal events of Austrian mankind on page 129, the birth of schnapps. Being royal did not, of course, keep one from becoming an addict, although it must be said, at a time when nearly everyone was partaking, your habits probably had to be rather extreme to cause medical intervention. But that seems to be the case with the daughter of poor, suicided Rudolph, whose doctor actually resorted to lying about the codeine pills he gave her and substituting placebos.
Could you please?
Nope.
300 years earlier, another Rudolph, this time Rudolph II, had his own problems with inebriation. Problems compounded with some serious mental issues, now thought to have been schizophrenia. Spoiler alert, it was Rudolph II's son who tortured and murdered a mistress in 1608. Empress Sisi was not the only one whose family hosted a strain of madness. Even Maria Theresa had a run-in with alcoholism, although in her case, she was not the alcoholic, but rather her mother. Empress Elizabeth Christine had serious trouble getting pregnant, and it was announced by the Habsburg doctors that her uterus lacked a sense of duty. The only cure, they decided, was for the Empress to force her body to relax, which obviously meant drinking more wine. While the wine gave her face a permanent rosy glow, her childbearing was still considered subpar. And this time, the doctors put her on a very full and rich diet. Not only did they make the poor Empress an alcoholic, they also caused her to become quite fat. So fat, in fact, that she needed a special contraption just to get into and out of chairs.
Yummy! Delicious!
Perhaps that was enough reason for Maria Theresa to attack the vice of intemperance so strongly. Although the lucrative tax income from regulating vice trades certainly must have appealed as well. If you want to get even more in-depth, I suggest picking up Maria's book, Sex, Drugs, and Rock and Roll in Habsburg Vienna. We'll be continuing our lurid stories of Habsburg drug use next week in pages 141 to 168. As well as introducing the Habsburg era party scene. Vienna may now be known for its waltzing, but the introduction of the dance back when was nothing short of utterly scandalous. And more info for those reading along with us, If the stories of sex in Habsburg times have piqued your interest, Maria not only wrote the book, but she leads the tours. And you can join her in investigating all the lurid and wonderful sights she describes in Viennese history. It all had far more influence on current events than you might think.
Oh, I love it!